New Day. When Kofi Kingston, Big E, and Xavier
Not a big
Woods
fan
first
of the
began
New Day, but
extolling
alright.
the virtues of positivity in
From what I've
2014,
seen, anyway.
fans couldn't have...
What's up, Squad? It's your Squid, aka the Anxious Squid here at Anxious Squid Productions. You know what the video is about, so we're going to get straight into it. But before we do, I just want to mention that the brief period that I was into wrestling, like that wasn't the early 2000s when I was younger and when I was a kid. The brief period as an adult when I was into wrestling, because I knew a guy at work who was also into wrestling. He was super into wrestling and all that sort of stuff. I watched these guys on YouTube a lot, but they were on What Culture with like Adam Blumpiade or whatever his name is and all that sort of stuff as well. And I'm not really 100% sure about why or how. Like, it's cool that they have their own channel. I like that. Like, they're obviously getting paid more with their own channel and all that jazz, but I'm sure there's a story there. Let me know in the comments if there is, or if there's a link detailing it or anything like that. But let's get into it.
The Wrestling Gimmick, an augmentation of one's personality, turning average Joes into colourful superstars and colourful superstars into era-defining idols. The iconography of pro wrestling history is lined not with accomplished technicians and dedicated competence, but larger-than-life personae that ring out vividly to a generation of onlookers. They are the true essence of the wrestling world, the most necessary flavour. As the wheels of wrestling continue to spin toward the future, new characters are churned out. Not all are guaranteed to succeed, and in fact some become famous for all the wrong reasons.
For not
Others
succeeding.
are much more fortunate, resonating on a deeper level with the viewing world and cementing the performer's place in the contemporary product. And if a gimmick is great enough, it comes to define those in the role as a legend of the industry. Looking back over the previous 10 years, we here at Cultaholic, with a little help from our friends, considered the greatest gimmicks to grace the squared circle in that span. And to the best of our collective ability, we voted on the greatest of the great. The top gimmicks in all of wrestling
Let's get into it.
for the 2010s.
As always, if you want to watch this video without me reacting and stuff like that,
Painmaker, PCO,
check it out. The link's at the bottom of the description.
And Pro Environment Daniel Bryan and Elias. Without any further ado, I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic.com.
Those are some honourable
and
mentions,
these are
I
the
guess.
10 greatest gimmicks of the 2010s. Join us. Number 10, Finn Balor's Demon King. Mick Foley didn't quite corner the
Sort of
market
like the
on
Fiend, I
multiple
hear.
personality disorder as a wrestling device, but to be fair, Balor's application of body paint is a little different than suddenly donning tie-dye. Going back to his time as Prince Devitt, Balor coated his face, arms, and torso with elaborate designs, some comic book oriented, in order to psych out his opponents.
Yeah, it looks like Venom.
Being
That's
that
cool.
Balor is also
Venom,
a destructive king from Celtic mythology, upon bringing the body paint to
Venom's the
WWE
black
in
one. The red one's
2014,
something else.
the gimmick
Carnage,
became
maybe?
more supernaturally based. But what is this Demon King we sometimes see? Is it Finn unleashing some sort of dark side contra to his usually joyful demeanour? When the paint goes on, Balor becomes almost impossible to defeat, a coat of invincibility brushed onto his skin. The simple sound of the demon heartbeat blaring over an arena sound system whips crowds into a frenzy, because they know that some heel is on the verge of having the entirety of hell unleashed upon them. So much of the Demon Balor character remains a curious mystery, but the mystery and execution do wonders for one's imagination. Number 9,
Yeah, nice.
Shinsuke
I'll give it a-
Nakamura,
yeah.
King of Strong
I'll have to look into it and react to it,
About
maybe.
8 months before the turn of the decade, Nakamura
Yeah, this guy
turned heel
actually
and
kicks
immediately
people and
headed
shit,
up
right?
the
Like,
brand
it's
new
like
Chaos faction in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
thing
He'd
where
been a
he's
top
from.
champion and a headliner previously, but this was a new Nakamura, one whose crisp, form-perfect in-ring style was now enhanced by flamboyance and grandeur of the highest order.
Nice.
Suddenly, Nakamura was Muhammad Ali meets Michael Jackson, a consummate showman
Nice.
whose sheer presence and mystic charisma enthralled crowds.
That's
But the
pretty cool.
flashy entrances, eclectic mannerisms, and kingly aura took nothing away from Nakamura's work. He became deadlier than ever between
that's
the
dope.
ropes, crowning his effective
So he did it
moveset
both.
with
He
the
did both. He
Babae
had a
knee
cool
strike.
gimmick and he
This
was a
version of
fucking great
Nakamura served copious amounts of sizzle
technician.
with a larger cut of steak, able to elevate the IWGP Intercontinental title toward near parity with the heavyweight gold. The King of Strong Style became an event unto himself, exhibiting exactly the type of high-volume flash that a main event wrestler requires, while sacrificing none of the physicality that earned him main event residence to begin with. Number 8, The Fiend. For the previous 5 years or so, fans had been counting the ways in which WWE took the unconventional brilliance of backwoods cult leader Bray Wyatt and strained all the life and intrigue out of him. Bad feud after bad feud, bad idea after stale idea.
I thought he was a big deal, but I
Wyatt
guess
squeezed
maybe it's
dry
just the
and
timing of
definitely needed
when
a
I was
new
paying
coat of
attention and
paint.
shit.
When the Husky ex-champion re-emerged on WWE programming as a borderline satanic kids show host, fans held their breath.
What?
But they were curious
Alright.
nonetheless. The Firefly
Yeah,
Funhouse
sounds
video
interesting.
was suddenly the most compelling part of Monday Night Raw, with the little Easter eggs and the unsettling content representing something far outside the norm. It all paid off with the revelation of Wyatt's masked alter ego, the Fiend, a more dangerous version of Wyatt that struck the unsuspecting amid blood-red darkness. While there
That's
have
pretty
been
cool.
hiccups on
I
this
like that.
path,
That's dope.
Hell in a Cell. The Fiend is an exercise in how to rehab a tired character into something closer to the lost potential from some time ago, while also quite possibly improving upon the original idea.
Yeah, that's dope.
Number 7, MJF,
Man, I always like
better
a
than
masked
you,
wrestler.
and you know
I was a
it.
big fan of
If you look
Kane,
up the word
the
functional in
Hurricane, like
dictionary,
all of that sort
you'll
of stuff
find
back in the
smug
day.
mug of Maxwell Jacob
Rey
Friedman
Mysterio, you know.
back at you. Even in print form, he'll tell you how useless and ineffective you are. There are many wrestlers today who walk that same path of being a contemptible dick for the sheer sake of it, but MJF is simply on another level compared to
Never heard of
everyone
him.
else. At just 23 years of age, he's been compared
Never
to
heard
Roddy
of him.
Piper, and with each passing promo,
That's a good
there are
comparison,
fewer
though,
people
Roddy
who would scoff
Piper.
at that. What makes the cruelty and snottiness even more effective is the fact that MJF never lets his guard down. In this social media age where the portrayers show themselves a little more when they're not
Yeah,
on the
that's a bit
clock,
weird.
here's MJF.
Was that Kevin
Fat
Owens?
shaming, ugly shaming, pet shaming, and existence shaming during his downtime for all the
So
world
he's
to witness.
sticking to the
Even at his
kayfabe
young
on
age,
social
the man
media.
is a walking masterclass in how to be a superbly potent villain in pro wrestling, and he
Nice.
has many years ahead of him in which to reap the rewards of his stellar work. Number 6, The New Day. When Kofi Kingston, Big E, and Xavier
Not a
Woods
big fan
first
of The
began
New Day, but
extolling
alright.
the virtues of positivity in
From what I've
2014,
seen, anyway.
fans couldn't have reached for the remote fast enough. Happy for the sake of happy without a tangible reason, this New Day seemed doomed upon its arrival. Little did anyone realise that about 6 months later, the trio would become the freshest thing on all of WWE programming.
How?
All
And
the
why?
company had to do was let the three use their real voices, and it would all work itself out. The heel turn, the trombones,
Yeah, I
the
don't know what
faux
that means, but
sincerity,
okay.
the clever taunts, the catchphrases, the colourful merchandise, they went from faces who everybody hated to heels you couldn't get enough of. They were quietly turned backface in 2016 because the fans couldn't stop cheering for them. Instead of
sense.
embodying something out of WWE's hackneyed playbook
guess I'll
of
have to
tired
look it up.
ideas, the New Day
They're
became
just a
something
bit
that clearly found the pulse
for me,
of pop culture,
you know?
connecting with fans through their genuine personalities and wit. Numerous tag team title reigns and even a Kingston WWE title run later,
And now
the real
Big E as
positivity
well.
is in knowing when to let the performers create the magic. Number 5, The Shield.
The
If you
Shield
tell
was
the audience
interesting.
that
they're all
somebody's a
big
top
deals
guy,
now as
and
well,
you put
and
your energy and
because of
faith
that,
into
you know,
affirming that
so-
notion, they'll believe it too. In the years before Survivor Series 2012, WWE Developmental spit out lots of good bodies
Makes
that
sense.
clearly lacked seasoning, and skillful workers that may have been too small for the boss to sustain interest in. When Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins,
Subtle
and
dig
Roman
at Vince
Reigns
McMahon
stormed
just
the
there.
ring at the 2012
'Cause he
Survivor
likes your big,
Series,
beefy
they were
Hulk Hogan
collectively
types.
a different animal. The Shield, as they became known, had a purpose from day one: to dispense justice, however brutally and swiftly. There were no fake smiles, no cheesy promos, no stumbling at the line. These were three deathly serious men who won all their matches, kicking ass in a way that fans could take interest in. Better yet, each of the three had distinct personalities. Ambrose was the disturbed sociopath, Rollins the calculating tactician, and Reigns the understated muscle. There was nothing uncool about the trio when they rode as one. Through the portrayal and the propensity for winning, they all became top guys.
Yeah, they did.
Number 4,
That's right.
Becky Lynch, the man. Through booking that was
interesting, I
designed
guess,
to make
but
her a bitter
I don't know, I've
heel,
never heard of Becky Lynch either,
combining
so-
her existing fan support with a new outspoken personality,
I guess I'll look her
made
up
the
too.
SmackDown Women's title the talk of the wrestling industry. Through the years, WWE has had the benefit of falling arse first into the occasional happy accident, and their decision to do something with Becky Lynch didn't work out exactly the way they had intended.
What's that mean? Like,
Here,
is she
that's
with Daniel
ultimately
Bryan or
proved
something?
to be
Or
a
Bryan
good thing.
Danielson or whatever?
Lynch's increased fieriness, her sharpened
That was
focus
a
on
badass
reaching the
photo.
pinnacle of the WWE Women's Wrestling Mountain, in, and her ability to dispense the ultimate put-down on anybody who dared try her on social media gave the company what it desired most. An unapologetic brass ring grabber who understands how to make yourself famous in the digital age. No cheerful smile, no put-on graciousness toward her bosses, just verbal and physical beatings for whoever crossed her path.
Nice, I guess I will give her a look.
Like
let me know in the comments, as I said,
but it takes lots
if I should look into her, react to it.
Like
links are always appreciated.
She's the man. Number 3, Bullet Club.
Weird, she's the man.
6.5 years ago, Prince Devitt's heel turn led to him forming a faction of remorseless
was huge into Bullet Club at the time.
Tama Tonga, and Bad Luck Fale.
That guy was one of the tag team
on any and all rivals in New Japan,
with AJ Styles,
would
I
become
think, in
this
WWE.
decade's answer to the New World Order, in both the co-opting of phrases
anyway,
and
I'll go back.
gestures.
Sorry, I was talking over him. That's my bad.
Bullet Club. 6.5 years ago, Prince Devitt's heel turn led to him forming a faction of remorseless gaijins with Carl Anderson, Tama Tonga, and Bad Luck Fale. Though they figured to make a hefty impact on any and all rivals in New Japan, who would have guessed that Bullet Club would become this decade's answer to the New World Order, in both the co-opting of phrases and gestures, as well as the marketability of black and white t-shirts. In the many forms that Bullet Club has taken since 2013, the group has demonstrated coolness. Through the increase of New Japan's global reach this decade, the ever-changing stable from its early days to the AJ Styles era, to the Elite Run, to the incumbency of Jay White, Bullet Club are just like the NWO, in that they're heels with appeal, the epitome of the cool bad guys whose aura of menace and danger prove irresistible to a large part of the audience.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And when you can turn that kind of it factor into merchandise,
I will definitely look into them.
You're doing something right. Number 2,
have to get something wrestling related for the backdrop.
Sometimes you have to go out on a limb to find success.
Broken Matt Hardy, that's the delete or whatever it is, right?
Sometimes you have to go so far off that limb that you enter into a twisted dimension, which you then harvest for the sake of one of the most unlikely comebacks in wrestling history. The elder Hardy Boy was becoming a forgotten man in Impact Wrestling, feuding with his brother Jeff yet again, when going down in defeat, well,
not that bad,
broke him. Enter Broken Matt, who existed as a
I like the Hardys, they've always been some of my favourites since the Attitude Era.
The unusual vocabulary, the Machiavellian promises of massacre, and the physical chaos that followed could not be summed up by any previously agreed on standards. This was postmodernism run amok in pro wrestling, and Matt's apparent insanity was rewarded with increasing fan intrigue. Can it be destined for the WrestleCrap plumbing if 10,000 fans at Raw are shouting delete as the hit new fad? The Broken Universe is one of those things that, if it didn't exist, almost nobody could have invented it. Fortunately, Matt Hardy doesn't live in our boring world. Number 1, CM Punk, best in the world.
That's cool, alright.
Pro wrestling can be an escape, a convenient way to avoid reality by indulging in a real-life comic book filled with over-the-top heroes and villains, along with a dash of silliness. That idea doesn't exactly jive with the widespread appreciation of CM Punk, whose most well-received run in the business came when he sat down on the entrance stage one night and told it like it was. Punk didn't escape reality, he exposed it, and fans loved him for it. Punk set himself apart from the corporate leviathan that was WWE, challenging their business
his brand
and their
was really hurt when he
with a daring sneer and an acidic
failed at
tongue.
MMA.
Even when he began deifying
he's still a
himself
big
as
deal.
the
He's
best
still
in
pretty
the
fucking
world,
cool.
the unshakable confidence in his tone still resonated. The flesh and bone of a cartoon world where everybody else was happy to be painted in white
like
brushes.
a Deadpool.
It's quite ironic that the best character of the past 10 years was just a regular guy capable of extraordinary things, using a public forum to speak his mind and echo the sentiments of a good many. When you're still remembered for your blistering words more than 9 years later, you
was it that long ago? That's crazy.
That's why microphone-wielding CM Punk remains the gold standard of modern wrestling characters. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments.
As always, check out the video below. Check out the link at the bottom of the description after all the stuff that makes me money. Speaking of stuff that makes me money, these guys pay me money. I like money. Turning some of yours into mine on a monthly basis would be ideal. If you pay $5, you get a guaranteed reaction every month. There we go. Failing that, hit subscribe. Do me a solid. I'm going to get on with my day. Potentially film more. Potentially edit. You'll see. You'll know. I'll see you when I look at you. You'll see me when you look at me. Thanks so much for watching, guys.